Yeah, don't, well, they've made a jihad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what was really weird? This afternoon I had to go to Home Depot and Trader Joe's in Clifton, which probably is swarming with
Oh, yeah,
It was empty.
yeah, empty.
It was like Christmas, I mean, it was scarily empty.
Okay. There's a huge community just north of,
In
east,
Passaic. Okay, thank you.
in Passaic Park. Actually beautiful.
We'll just wait. Janice? Janet. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 13th.
12.
October 12th. I'm sorry. Tomorrow's the 13th. October 12th HPC meeting. This is a regular meeting of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and by sending a copy to the Montclair Times, the Star Ledger, and the Herald News. This is also being broadcast live on Montclair Channel 34 and remote access on YouTube. And we will start with the roll. If Ms. Talley.
Doing everything at once.
Trying to make sure the applicants are all ready.
Okay.
Chair Bennett.
Present.
Mr. Vice Chair Hyman's excused. Mr. Rooney.
Here.
Mr. Ryman.
Here.
Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Here.
And Mr. Giuliano is excused. And we have,
And congratulations.
yes, and we have Ms. Bauer. And I'd like to introduce Hussein Farwa, who is our new assistant planner and will eventually be the secretary of the HPC.
And I have a question about that. Welcome. Will you, do we need I know we have an election in January. Are we going to wait till January, or do you still keep on as assistant secretary, or?
Let's play that by ear. I'll come to the, I'll come to the next meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll slowly transition. I told Farwa, oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I told Farwa it takes about 3 months to kind of get the feel of things.
Oh, so that'll swing us right into January?
Right.
Okay, great. That was my question. All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes, as we had 2 meetings this month. We had our regular scheduled meeting on September 14th and a special meeting on September 29th. So why don't we start with the September 14th minutes? And does anyone have any addendum or changes to them? And I think, Mr. Graham, you were absent, right?
I have to abstain, yes.
You have to abstain, John has to abstain. Okay, and John has to abstain. So the other people that are here, which are us, and Mr. Sweeney, I have changes, so. Shall I go, or do you want to go first, Jerry?
No, I didn't have any change.
Okay.
No.
So I have changes. I have changes, but I'll just go through them, and then I'll send a corrected copy to you.
Okay, great.
So on page 2, the third paragraph from or third statement from the bottom, a commissioner asked about the architectural style of the existing house. Mr. Petrie responded that is eclectic as it has been modified and to add from the original 19th century facade. On page 3, the fourth paragraph, Carmel Lockman asked about proposed alterations. There's a change there. Moving down to the 5th one, John Barrett stated that he has a problem with this type of development, which is not beneficial to Montclair. Going down to the second from the top, it's just a typo, which a commissioner, not commission. 3 trees on the property are too dense for the area. The last paragraph, add impact on the property and surrounding neighborhood. And then on page 4, under application 2023-25, the last sentence on the first paragraph, add a sentence that he did not realize that the property was in the Upper Montclair Historic District and needed HPC approval for the facade changes. And that's it. So I'll send that.
Okay, great.
Does anyone else have any changes? No? So would one of you like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes
As
with,
modified.
as modified.
And Jerry?
I'll second.
All right, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. And I will send those to Janice, and then, does Farwa have a email address?
Yes, she does, so.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'll copy her on future emails.
Okay,
so
okay.
you'll have it.
Just to keep you up to date, what's
Yeah.
going on. All right, so the minutes from September 29th, which I said was our special meeting. Again, thank you to Janice for organizing this. It was at 1 PM on Friday, and John and Nick were not there, so you can't respond to this. Are there any addendum to this, or changes to these minutes? So my only question, because it's in our resolution, is the fourth bullet on page 2. We said building C blocks of view shed for the historic waiting room, and we did say it should be eliminated, move further north, or reduced. So eliminated should be in there.
Okay.
That's a good point, yeah.
So a motion to approve the minutes of September 29th.
Motion to approve as amended?
And second? Mr. Sweeney, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you very much. Next up is public comment. Is anyone here that would like to address the commission on any historic preservation issues not associated with an application? Because you'll have the opportunity to do that at the during the application. No? Okay, seeing nobody, public comment is closed. Committee reports. Hold on. Committee reports, yes. Education and outreach, we have Research in Your Home. Workshop will be at the library this Saturday, day after tomorrow, October 14th, and next week, Wednesday, October 18th. So I'll be there on Saturday, and
I'll be
Mr.
there.
Rooney will be there on
Wednesday.
And I have a handout that has all of our
Terrific.
about the map, and I'll leave it with them. I was just, the next thing on tap is October 29th, which is a Sunday. I was approached by the congregation at Mount St. Carmel down on Pine Street, and they wanted to know if we would do a walking tour of the historic district, which I said I agreed. And so if anybody wants to jump in on that, that just came about recently, so I'll let you know.
What's the date on that, Chair?
October 29th, and it would be in the afternoon, but I think that's after the time change, so we have to have it early enough that it's not dark. I was the recipient, really very nicely, of a box of HPC material from a former chair of the HPC, and then there was a brass plaque designating that the structures on the state and national registers, which the church is. So we're going to give them the plaque and do a little ceremony for them. Okay? So that's education and outreach. Minor applications, on September 22nd, we had a meeting. HPC application 2023-27. The Verizon building at 294 Bloomfield Avenue was approved with conditions. 2023-28, Diesel and Duke at 20 Church Street was approved with conditions. 2023-29, Bella Nail Club at 404 Bloomfield Avenue was approved with conditions. 2023-30 TMG Wig at 330 Bloomfield Avenue was approved with conditions. 2023-31, the Montclair Indoor Golf Company at 369 Bloomfield Avenue was approved with conditions. And then today we met, today we met also for a minor application, and that application, 2023-32, Forever Nail and Spa at 540 Valley Road, was also approved with conditions. So we've been very busy with minor applications. Question about revisions. Have we heard anything from the people at 11 South Fullerton?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, because we need to get
I was
a,
wondering about that today, actually.
yeah,
Yeah, the ball is in their court. I
right,
think at this point, they are in violation of their approval.
right, absolutely.
And
Isn't the clock ticking on them, or did we
um,
push that to the side a little bit? and give
I
them-
don't know what the time clock is. I had to double check, because I don't
Uh-huh.
know what the time clock is for their
Okay.
approval. But I do know that they're in violation of their certificate of appropriateness. And I'm not quite sure right now what the violations are, but I'll put it on our to-do list and reach out to them, because it's been
Oh, it's 3 months, 4
I don't think
months?
we've sent them a, because I apologize, I don't know
No,
exactly
you
what
don't
went
know,
on
sure.
before, but I
Mhm.
don't think we ever sent them a letter saying that they're in violation, and then we haven't issued that a time clock, like you have 30 days
No,
to
I don't
resolve
know.
this.
I don't know.
So I think that's probably the next step, because we have reached out to them many times.
Can we send that? Do we have to vote on anything, or can that just be
You
sent?
don't have to do anything.
Okay,
This is something that, it's an administrative
okay,
effort on my part.
understood, okay.
Okay, so we'll just keep after
But
you.
it's good to remind me.
Yes, yes, I put
appreciate
big
that.
You got a lot-
stars
you got a
around
lot
it.
You
on
might
your
have some
plate.
stuff
That's
going
Right.
on, yeah.
11 South Fullerton.
Right, 11 South Fullerton. Is there any report from Design Review? No. And then Landmarks, the Label Street nomination report has been carried to the December meeting. Any other committee? No? Okay.
Chair, did we have to vote on the resolution? Did we?
Yes, that's next.
Oh, that's next? Oh,
Yes,
okay, sorry, I was
so-
falling down the,
No, I'm
here.
following the agenda.
yeah.
Sorry, I went to do the resolution, and I saw the other thing. All right, so we do have a resolution, which is 52 Upper Mountain Plaza LLC. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the resolution? It was, the committee decision was,
I think we abstained, yeah.
right.
By the way, they've already removed the paint.
Yes, they removed it within a week, which was
Yeah,
great.
I saw them, they were using a pressure washer.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, it came out pretty,
It looks fine.
yeah.
It looks, I think, nicer. So, may I have a motion to approve this resolution? You can.
I had to abstain, yeah.
Abstain,
The
abstain.
motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, great. So it's passed. Thank you very much. Seeing there is no old business, we will move on to new business. And the first thing on the agenda is the Board of Education, Board of Adjustment, application 2861, 23 Cornell Way, Albert Lynn. It's a bulk variance for new front yard porch. So is anyone here to speak to that? Okay, please approach the table. And just bear with me, I have, here we go. Okay, well, you're getting,
I could pull up whatever document you want.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine.
Which one do you want?
Good evening.
yes, I was going to introduce the application, and then we'll ask for your name. an association. All right, so the subject property, which is 26 Cornell Way, is located within the Fairway, Squire Hill, Yantakah Potential Historic Resource District and sits on the north side of Cornell Way, facing southeast towards the street. The applicant proposes the addition of a front porch to the main block of the house with a cast-in-place concrete foundation, bluestone paving, paneled wood columns, and a shed roof with pediment above the entrance. Included in the proposed work is the selective demolition of the existing bluestone stoop, the relocation of a hose bib and existing leaders, and a new hung gutter and leader at the porch. And I just wanted to read the description of the Yantakah area, which was built between 1950 and 1959 and consists of single-family houses with varying dates of construction, scale, lot sizes, and architectural styles. Tourist Park is also located in the center of the area surveyed. The Yantakah area was originally the location of the Upper Montclair Golf Club. The area was redeveloped in the 1950s, and Hello Way was cut through at that time. And I am quoting this from the historic preservation element of the Township Master Plan. So, we're finished with our introduction. If you would just introduce yourself and your association with the application.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Zmuda. I'm a licensed New Jersey architect and registered.
Your microphone.
Press the button. And how do you spell your last name?
Zmuda, Stephen. I'm a licensed New Jersey architect and registered. I also serve on the Wyckoff Historic Preservation Commission.
Oh.
And my client has come before us, the board, to renovate the front of his house on 23 Cornell Way. And that will entail a shed roof over a porch.
Can you, before you continue, yes, but we need to swear you in. Our attorney will swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide on this application tonight will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, now proceed.
Okay. So what we are proposing is to the existing house, which is two-story colonial. It's it has a brick and stone face facade. What we're proposing is to install a porch that would extend across the front of the house with the small pediment right at the entrance. We are not extending beyond the front main portion of the house. There'll be a new roof, shed roof, which will extend past the existing overhang. We will remove a small stoop that's at the front of the house and install new bluestone paving.
So in effect, that patio that will be, or porch will it go along the entire length of the front, or just at?
It will extend across the entire front of the house.
Right.
The portion that is closest to the roadway. This is the house portion on the left, and on the right, that's set back further.
Okay, thank you.
And so the design was to be in keeping with the neighboring buildings. The immediate neighbor to the right has a pediment over the main entrance. The existing house, the owner was saying that it has a far removed entrance from the driveway, and they wanted to emphasize that with the small pediment. So that's where the new design would come up.
Could you repeat that again? I didn't understand that.
Yeah. The house itself has a main entrance which is far from the driveway.
Right.
And just to emphasize the entrance of the house and to incorporate the new roof, we've put a small pediment over that, and that has the classical style. And the neighboring house also has a similar type.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Does that conclude your testimony?
Yes, it does. And we are trying to match all the detailing of the house. And I understand that there was a report prepared that had some recommendations. And
Did you not receive it?
I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
The photograph you showed, the drawing, is that, do we have that available to show on the screen, Janice? Or
That,
or can you
this
pass
was-
it around?
Yeah, of course.
Are there copies? Or
There's a
just-
copy for you, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Early on, I did submit.
Yeah, I believe it,
Thank
that, was that part of what you submitted to me digitally?
It was prior to that. It was to Richard.
Oh, okay, I
You
don't.
might have had that.
I might not have, I don't think I
Has there
have
been a
that.
change, has there been a change since this?
No, no.
This is still what you're
Yeah,
proposing?
right.
Okay.
If you could send it to me again, that way I'll load
course.
it up, so it's, when you go to the zoning board, we can have it ready.
Right. And if I might just add that at the entrance, just a close-up version of it, it has a wood-paneled surround around the side lights of the doors, and on either side of that recess, you can see the paneling. And we were looking to incorporate some of this paneling onto the porch columns.
And it looks as though the columns have changed in style from what you have in the blueprint, in the plan on A3.
On A3, the columns would
See, they're
be simple with a
simplified.
base.
Yes. This is new
This is different than,
this.
The columns would have...
Here.
Yes, it would be a wood paneling added onto the column itself.
So which one are you, this one?
Yeah, it would have a base, the column, and the capital. This,
where's the panels? But
The
it's
panel
that
would
one, it's
be
not,
here.
it's not this,
It-
it's that.
Right, this is more detailed, this is just a concept rendering.
Can I see the photographs? of
Oh.
the-
Sure.
I think one of the issues
Turn the mic on, John.
okay.
So that we can get one.
Are we into questions now? Or is it done?
Yes. So wait, let's just get straight. Which one is the proposed? This,
The drawings.
the
Yeah,
drawing is
drawings.
here. Okay.
Right.
Janice, can we put that up on the screen, the drawing? I have it here, but I just want to,
And then we'll ask questions.
1A3.
Elevation.
A3.
All right, now, if you can read that.
What's that? The drawing here has the columns, but it's same ones, but,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I think that's the one that we have.
There we go.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yes, exactly. Okay, if I can just walk you
Yes.
through this, that would help.
Need the microphone.
The mic,
The microphone?
the microphone?
This is the proposed house with the new roof, which will be over the first floor porch. The porch will have one step up from grade. That will be a bluestone, and the face of it will also match the existing stone facade. We will have equal distance centered on the front door, and side lights would be a small pediment that would break this roof line. It would also be in keeping with the side elevations of the house and the colonial style. And the porch posts, we are looking to just incorporate some wood trim along the base of it that would also match the side light paneling on either side of the door and on the recess. The column spacing was also predicated on the entrance, holding up the pediment, and then there is a circular window element that we have the two columns spaced so they're centered on that, so it doesn't block that feature. And there's a bow window that will remain. We're not touching that. And of course, we will reposition the gutters and leaders to drain on either side. The existing garage has some trim around it, but it's fluted columns, fluted paneling. We're not looking to match that. This is more in keeping with the colonial style.
And so the door and the lights, those are remaining, the side lights?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
A nice feature. We're just going to paint them. One of the problems with the house is when it rains, the water did slope towards the house and into the lobby, foyer. So with this new construction, we're going to improve that condition and have it pitched properly away.
Okay, thank you. We'll open it up to questions now from the commissioners. Do you want to start?
I'm gonna mark this as Exhibit 1.
I'll ask the simple question. Why is the porch being added?
The porch is being added for the homeowners to be able to relax on the front. Right now, they do not have a porch. It's really just a stoop, maybe just the width of the doorway and the side lights. No place to put some seating, for the family with the young children to relax outside.
Okay.
So they're not totally in the backyard, they're enjoying the front.
Okay, thank you. Second, are there other porches on that street?
Yes, there are, yes.
Are the houses adjacent to it or near them?
The houses are within 2 or 3 houses, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait, you
He would have to come up,
have to come up.
testify as a witness.
Be sworn in if you're gonna.
Hi, good evening.
What's your name?
Albert Lin,
How do you spell your last name?
L-I-N.
Okay. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide tonight will be the truth,
Southern
whole truth, nothing but the
Plantation.
truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
So originally, the reason why we are deciding to put the porch on is because what he said earlier about right now we get water inside our lobby area, and so all of the wood that's inside our house actually has buckled up, and we've actually replaced it once, and then it buckled up again because obviously every time it rains, the water comes in. So that's the initial reason why we're doing this porch. And then the second thing that I think that you guys asked is are there any other porches that are similar? There's another house that is actually very similar, has the roof across as well. So
Your
it's
next door
very similar
neighbor
design.
seems to have one like that, no? Is that what I'm
Yes,
looking at? Right,
exactly.
your next door neighbor, and then there looks like there's one across the street from your next door neighbor that has a similar, it's the double-story columns. That looks like it's also a front porch? Is that correct?
I
I have the
know
advantage
one
of
of
looking
them,
at Google
but-
Maps, so.
Oh, that
but,
one, yeah, but that one's much higher.
Right, but
yeah.
there is the porch there, right, is what I'm saying? There's a front porch there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But that one's much higher, beams and,
Right, yeah, I was just strictly talking about the porch setup.
Yeah.
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 Okay, to be clear then, the porch is added for 2 purposes. One, to prevent the water intrusion into the front of the building itself, the house itself. And second, to provide some outdoor space.
Yeah.
That's part
So
of the
initially,
house.
we were gonna just bump it out a little bit, but then it just didn't look natural, so we went all the way across because it just looks much more natural and it lines up, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
I have no questions.
I have a question. On the plans, do you indicate how wide that porch is?
Yes.
I-
Just hit the X, yeah, to make it.
From the existing house? From the existing house, we are 7 feet. 7 feet out.
7 feet out. And then on that plan, I didn't see it here, how far is that from the street? Because I think there's.
Oh, on the street, that is on the, from the front property line, front yard, we are proposing a 40.7 feet setback.
And
It's
this,
required 50 feet, and we're proposing 40.7.
and your surrounding, neighbors, the setback, one is 46, one is 47, 41, and 48.
Right.
This is on page
T2.
2T.
Yeah.
T2.
T2, correct.
Okay. And you testified, how far is the one that you're proposing?
The proposed will be 40.7 feet.
Okay, so you're within the neighborhood of what the other houses are.
Yeah, the average setback is about 44.17, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Ordinance?
Yeah. What are the columns made out of?
We're proposing fiberglass columns and with wood or a composite trim, which will be preferred, so it's less maintenance, doesn't rot.
So you're saying the column, the square column itself is fiberglass?
Correct, right.
And then you're going to trim it out in?
It's a composite, like an Aztec,
Like a AZAC, okay.
and they are also service structural as well.
Okay. What do you do, glue that onto the fiberglass?
It's glued, and we have brad nails that would actually
Okay.
store it.
Are you proposing to match the detail of the panels at the front door?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Those are my questions.
I don't have any questions, Chair.
Okay. So we'll open up for discussion. Is any, we'll open up for discussion.
You want to read the consultant's report?
Oh, right. Where is that? So you received the consultants,
Yes, and
and,
I've read it.
I'm sorry, here it is. Okay, so our consultant, who's not here tonight, had 4 points. One of which, the first one is the incorporation of a new front porch onto this colonial revival home is somewhat compatible with the existing architecture. The porch and its roof are typically used to visually connect the front elevation plane of the attached garage to cover the front door. This is not the case in this proposed design. The use of the pediment to accent the entry is a feature typically not found in this subtype of the colonial revival style, and would recommend it not be included in the final design. The second one is also concerns the roof, as A2 is not drawn accurately because the proposed roof pediment is not shown. The tall paneled bases of the proposed posts are not derived from classical columns, nor do they fit with the home's existing architectural style and should be avoided. For a simplified 6x6 post profile, the post base should be no larger than 3.5 inches. The column, number 4, the column spacing with the pediment removed should be adjusted to be spaced equally as is characteristic of a colonial-styled home. So would you like to address those?
Yes. I reviewed them, and I have my own response to each one of them.
Okay.
The front porch, where number one essentially says the pediment is not of this subtype of colonial revival style. However, personally, I disagree with that. I do have examples, a dozen of colonial homes with a pediment over the entrance, and there are a number of them in Montclair. I could put them together and submit them in my response. Number two, the new work porch plan on A2 is drawn inaccurately. That's correct, I agree with that. It does not show the pediment, although the detail shows a cutaway view, so it does not show the entire roof. That can be corrected. Number three, the tall panel bases of the proposed porch are not derived from classical columns. That is correct. Classical columns do not have wood paneling. They were made out of stone originally. But in this type of home style, they are saying to simplify it with the 6x6 post, which I think would be too slender, too thin for that style. The house has a very large, broad facade, and I think that 8x8 posts would be larger and would be more appropriate.
With a simplified design?
It could be with the simplified design, and number four, the column spacing, that can be adjusted, but as I mentioned, we did try to center it around the window, so it looks like we may need to add additional column or two, just to,
So you'll do that?
we can do that, yes.
Okay.
And it did say that going back to number three, the panel bases do not fit with the home's existing style. And I disagree with that because they do match the adjacent paneling at
On the side
on the
lights.
side lights.
Right. But on this sheet, A3, one of the columns looks like it's almost immediately in front of the bay window. I mean, this doesn't look,
On front of the bay window, yes. Not,
bless you.
but the small circular window, we have it.
You need the microphone.
Right. This is centered, these two columns are centered right on that small round window. But like I mentioned, I can add columns and adjust them so they're evenly spaced.
Okay. So we were just talking about the column spacing and what to do with that. So we'll open up for discussion now. Do you want to start, Mike?
I think that ultimately we'll probably want to go back to revisions committee with some of Tom's suggestions incorporated. So for now, I think I'm going to abstain from commenting and wait for the other commissioners.
Okay.
Okay, generally, I think this is an improvement to the facade. It gives the facade a little bit more depth, a little bit more architectural, I don't know, character to the outside of the house. I don't agree with Tom Conley's comment about the pediment. I think that's okay. I think the base, as long as it of the columns, as long as it if the intent is to match the paneling of the entry doorway, I think that's great. I think, as Mike says, I think this should come back, and I think the two columns on either side of the bay window, I think you need to add another column on either side to make it all work out. So that would come back to, I guess, the revision, the minor revision. You don't have to come back here. You come back and show us what you're doing, you know. One last thing is the gutters. You don't really show the leaders of the gutters. And I would encourage you to take the gutters around the side of the roof and bring the leaders down along that, so you're not blocking your beautiful new columns with a leader coming down in front of it.
Right, they would go back and come down along the facade of the house.
Yeah.
You mean the side facade? I'm trying to,
No,
Side where,
yeah, the side,
okay.
the side of it.
Chair, I would just say that I am generally supportive of the idea of adding the front porch, and especially for the water issues. And it seems like it's common in the neighborhood if in the immediate surrounding area there are homes with porches. But as mentioned, I'll just say again, I do think it should come back to the revisions committee.
thank you. Steve?
I agree with I think that the columns are a little what did Tom said, intercolumnated? It's a
Intercolumnation.
new way, new
Right.
word. But, yeah, just to adjust that, I think that it works well with this house. The pediment reflects what the elevation is for the side of the house, although you didn't draw the pediment out there. I think it's make the house look pretty handsome, and it's good to designate where the front door is. So you put
Agreed.
in a pediment for that.
Mr. Sweeney?
My view is you showed a need for it, so the porch is justified. The only thing you have to do is make sure the pattern looks consistent with the exterior of the house. So the columns are the right distance apart, and their pattern looks similar to the pattern of the existing house, or the facade of the existing house.
Agreed.
And I agree with all the rest of it that do.
I have a question that I just thought of now. The shed roof that you propose to put across, will that have new shingling all the way?
Yeah, of course, yes. That roof does not exist. That will, the new roof will have all new shingles.
And,
The existing roof, we're not replacing the shingles on that.
right, so you'll, and is it,
We would match them.
you'll match that?
Yes.
Okay, because that would look, yes, so my comment is, normally, I would agree with Tom that I think a shed roof all the way across for this type of house would be more appropriate. But I noticed that in the neighborhood, there's these type of pediments over the doors. So I would support that with your design. And again, the setback from the street, that's the variance, right, that
Yep.
we're looking at?
Right.
Which is in conforming to, I know it's similar to other, if this is what's correct on these plans.
Yeah, I have the calculations here. The zoning officer provided them to me today. The front yard average is 44.17 feet for the front yard setback. I think you're at 40.7, so it's a little bit closer,
A little bit closer.
but I think it really is not going to be a noticeable difference because it's an open structure.
Right, and it's similar to other ones in the neighborhood,
Right.
as I see on page T2. Okay, so, but the columns need to be respaced, so,
I will get those done promptly
Okay.
okay.
and
So,
resubmitted.
so you'll submit that to the planning department, and then,
Well, what's going to happen is, because they're scheduled for a public hearing next week
Oh.
at the Board of Adjustment, so I've got notes from what your comments were, and I'll write a report to the Board of Adjustment with your recommendations
okay.
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay, so as long as we have a visual from you as to
Yeah.
how you're replacing and respacing the columns.
And that would be one of the conditions, you would ask to come back here, and they would show that to you,
Okay,
okay? I assume it's what the Board of Adjustment normally does.
Yeah, that's what we would ask the Board of
Yeah.
Adjustment to do. to
They'll
send it
come
to
back
us.
okay,
for that kind of detail.
all right.
Good.
But the column, the detail on the columns and everything else, the stone veneer, the width of the porch, everything is in, what you've proposed.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
help.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up is an application before the Development Review Committee, application 2863, which is 25 North Fullerton Avenue. Leap. It's a minor site plan for fence. So Janice, these are our recommendations. I don't think we've have done recommendations for the design review
Well,
committee.
this is a minor site plan with no variances, so it gets reviewed by the Development Review Committee.
Right,
And because it's in a potential historic district, it's referred to you for comment prior to the public hearing at the Development Review Committee, which will be early November.
okay,
Okay.
great. I just want, I didn't know if there were variances incorporated with this
There's
at
no
all.
variances, which is why it's the Development Review Committee.
Okay,
Actually, I have to correct it. The plans that you have show a fence that's too tall. So I had a conversation
Oh.
with the applicant today. I forgot your last name. Versani. Ms. Versani today, and she's reducing the height to 4.5 feet, because
Okay.
what's shown would require a variance, and that way they'll stay before the Development Review Committee.
okay, So I'll just introduce the application. The subject property is located in the Walnut Street Potential Historic Resource Area and along the North Fullerton Avenue Historic Streetscape. The building faces north-northwest towards the street. The applicant proposes fencing in the area west of the house for an outdoor playground and butterfly garden. The proposed area aligns with the front elevation of the building, extends about 12 feet from the west elevation, and continues past the rear elevation of the building by about 10.5 feet. 2 gates will provide access to the fenced area, one centered at the north side and the other at the south end of the east side behind the building. The applicant also proposes the placement of a new outdoor storage shed between the proposed fenced area and the existing bulkhead doors at the rear of the building. So could you introduce yourself, please, and then you'll be sworn in?
Of course. My name is Romina Borsani, and I am the owner of the program, and I am the tenant on the first floor and basement of that property.
Ms. Versani, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide in this application tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any images for this? Or, I know we have a plan.
I just have, I don't know, Richard today, he helped me with this, and
Okay,
But I
I think
don't
what
know.
you can do is submit, this is the revised plan we got today,
Okay.
so you can hand that to the commission.
Okay, and this is 4.5 feet. Is this a gate, or is this just a fence?
just the fence, that's the fence.
And this goes across the driveway?
No, it's on the side,
Oh, okay.
on the side of the facility.
Do you want to look at this?
And just to clarify, is it on the side that's close to the Chase Bank?
Chase Bank, yes.
Okay, that's right.
Yes, right next to it.
I have the plan, it's kind of blurry, but it shows the location.
Oh, okay. Okay, and that's where it's,
It's the side, it's the south side of the building.
right.
So this is actually new, so we'll mark it.
Right.
Correct,
Okay, so the new plan, or the new image that you've given us today is 4.5 feet high fence,
Right.
which are 2 panels and 3 posts, right?
Yeah, so it's this one.
I mean, if that's what the plan says, yes, that's what it is, yes.
I think, I'm just,
It's a solid.
Yes, 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 yes.
Solid.
Yes.
solid, but it has 3 posts, correct?
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's just one section. It's actually going across and all the way back, because they're enclosing a playground.
Right.
So that's just one section of the fence?
Oh,
Just a vision of it.
Just an enlarge of
Yeah.
the panels, I mean, just for you to have an
It's
idea.
just a detail.
Right.
oh, I thought this was the, okay.
Yeah, and it's, would be this area back here. Out front has a gate.
Yeah, there'll be a gate in the front and a gate in the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you just point out on the screen
Where it's gonna be?
where it's going to be?
Gate here and gate here.
And along the side, right?
On the side of the property.
There's no gate on the side where the bank is.
Okay,
There's one at the front and one at the back.
and one at the back.
Right.
Okay. All right, so that finishes your testimony.
That's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is it, what do you plan to, what material will it be?
We're thinking of vinyl. I mean, it just, and the reason for that is just to, first of all, for safety, it's number one priority for the line of business that I have. And the other one is just just to maintain it, in order to maintain. But I am open for suggestions. I mean, the idea is safety is the number one, and also, making sure that it is easy when it comes to cleaning. But I am open for suggestions.
And it's going to be solid? The whole thing
Yes.
is solid?
Yes.
It's not picket?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we'll open up for questions now.
Yeah, the material obviously was Mr. Conley's number one concern. Usually vinyl is discouraged for historic preservation purposes. And I guess also, I mean, because it is very close to that driveway, right? So is to the Chase parking lot, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm almost wondering if vinyl is the wrong choice for that reason, even.
Okay.
I think technically it's 3 feet from the property line, because they're going to put,
Because that drawing makes it look, I mean, if you look, it's
Yeah.
kind of narrow. It's hard
you-
to kind of gauge.
If you look at the next page of
Yeah.
of the submission, there's
Yeah.
a detail showing a 3-foot wide walkway between the edge of the fence and the property line. So
Okay.
that the tenants in the apartments that are going to be built in the back can get from the street to the apartments in the back.
And that's lining the Chase driveway
It's
right there?
between the fence and the driveway, edge of the
Okay.
driveway.
And that's taking 3 feet. Wow, okay. And that's on your side? The 3 feet is on your side of the property line?
Yes.
Or is that on,
I believe
It's
so,
not on the
yes.
bank property.
No.
We're looking at.
the Google Maps?
We don't have any pictures here, which
Yeah.
haven't been submitted along with this, so, our photos. We see bollards, we see light posts,
Yeah,
and,
Those are on the bank property.
okay, so, and then there's going to be a 3-foot path after that?
Between those bollards and the light posts, I have, the memo that I'm working on shows the bollards and the fence posts, and I had the plans for the bank as well.
so how much space, Janice, would there be for the walkway, and then how much space would there be for, it's 3 feet, obviously.
It's 3
So then
feet.
how much space then is left for the playground area?
That's dimensioned on the
drawn right.
plans.
Because that drawing up there does not appear to be accurate if
12
there's a 3-foot.
It's 12 feet.
Is the 3-foot passage within the fence?
No, it's outside the fence.
Okay, well, then you got to account for that, plus the space between the light posts and the driveway. And it looks like there's only, on this drawing, it only looks like there's 3 feet.
Yeah, it's 3 feet The light posts and the bollards are on the bank property,
I got that.
yeah.
But
And if
the-
you
but-
look on the site
Oh, are
plan,
you saying, oh, I see what you're saying.
you see
What's
it's
that?
3 feet from
Got
from
it.
the side of the
Got it,
fence to
okay.
the property line.
Okay, I got it.
And one of the issues that I'm going to raise, because I haven't completed my report yet, but I want to make sure that we have a grading plan because it slopes down a little bit. And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's, before the fence is put in, that there's
Right.
appropriate grading to put that walkway in. Because that walkway was part of the site plan approval for the apartments in the back,
Got it.
so.
Yeah, because it's an awkward
Yeah.
setup there.
Doesn't show the curve is over here.
Right.
But yeah, this application is just for
Okay.
the fence for this playground.
Right.
Okay. Need to draw it.
There we go, it's not
And
drawn.
the fence
Yeah.
is
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 by 8 sections, so it's, what's that, 6 by 8 plus 7 feet. So it's a long fence along.
Yeah, it's the entire, property line.
Right, okay.
And there's no variance needed for it, right? And there's no, the height you've already addressed with
No,
Janice.
just,
Um,
Well,
And, oh, sorry, Chair.
But that brings up a good point. Is that side fence going to be higher than the 4.5 feet?
No, the whole
No.
thing is
The whole thing is 4.5 feet.
4.5
Right.
feet. That's
Okay.
what I told them, because
Right.
the way our fence ordinance is written, it has to all be 4.5 feet.
Okay. I'm sorry. What's the-
No, the applicant already said that she was open to changing the material, and I think that's something that we should probably require.
We're still asking questions? here?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. So it looks to me like, is it the case you're taking out all of the landscape against the side of the house?
we might remove, yes, I mean, that's the, yes, I mean,
Because
for
there's not much
safety.
room,
Right,
yeah,
I mean,
to leave it.
and that's, right, for room purposes and for safety purposes, yes.
Okay, that's my only question.
Do you have a picture of that? Does it have a lot of trees on it?
It has a lot of shrubbery on the
You
side
can
that would
pass-
have to be
These are
removed.
my photos.
Oh,
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can-
yeah, I can open that.
My incomplete memo.
Yeah, it's a lot of shrubs.
oh, okay.
Then if you go down here
Oh, okay.
and turn around the back.
These blue bollards,
That's on the
Chase.
bank property.
what is it?
That, I don't recall. It was a Board of Adjustment application,
Oh,
and I wasn't part of the discussion of the purpose of the
I don't
bollards.
remember.
Steve, do you have any other questions?
No, no other questions.
And Mr. Rooney? I mean, Mr. Sweeney?
No, but I understand it's for, to protect the kids, keep them in. and-
Of course,
Yeah, so safety indicated concern. How long is your lease for?
10 years.
10 years, okay. So, no, I think that was the question I wanted to know, so. And you're willing to do other materials if,
Of course, as long as, it goes along with, the safety and guidelines. I mean, I'm willing to make any changes that is necessary for my business to blossom, so.
okay, thank you.
Mhm,
The walkway that's on the side, that's going to be outside your fence,
mhm.
where does that go back to? There's apartment,
You saw, I think this came to you previously, they're converting the garage in the back, adding
Yeah,
a second
several
story and
apartments.
making those apartments.
oh, okay.
And when this came to the, I think it was Board of Adjustment, they required that a sidewalk, a pathway be provided from the sidewalk to those apartments so that they don't have to walk on the driveway.
Okay, I understand. So, wood, the material changing to wood, how does that affect the safety and?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking over the years, what will be more durable when it comes to, but, I mean, I'm open for suggestions. I mean, if you tell wood, then we can, paint the wood. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because
But-
vinyl fencing, if you throw balls into it and whack it, I think it's a more, less durable. It won't stand up as well as wood. I mean, wood you have to do maintenance on either kind of fence, but,
I'm just thinking of, a 3-year-old, just slamming through the wood. I don't know, it just,
well, they slam into
Yeah,
vinyl.
more like.
regardless, again, safety, I'm open for suggestions, so, you never know.
My 3-year-old would have slammed through it, yeah.
So let's just go, any other questions? Okay, so our consultant has, let's see, he says the proposed vinyl siding is discouraged, and then he quotes the design guidelines that say construct new fences and walls using materials that predominated historically or that visually match these materials. Wood or metal for new fences and brick for new walls are generally appropriate materials. Vinyl is not a sustainable material and does not convey the same appearance as historic fencing materials such as brick or wood. So, with that, we'll open up for discussion. Mr. Sweeney?
My comments is, I generally believe it should not be vinyl. I think this area, the adjacent building is commercial. The area looks generally commercial with a standalone house. I don't have a difficulty using a vinyl if that's would do it. And I'm not sure that even metal would look appropriate there. But in any event, I don't. My sense is that vinyl would work here, but it generally would not work in other historic areas.
Steve?
Yeah, the vinyl looks great for the first couple of years, and then it has a tendency to get mold on them. They also, sections of it can pop out, and you have to constantly fix them. It may break up the top rail. I don't know what kind of wood would go in there. Normally we would say cedar.
Painted.
Painted cedar. And that would withstand at least 10 years, at least 20.
I'm planning to be there longer.
So I would recommend wood.
Okay. John?
I have one comment about how far the fence comes towards the front property line. You can't see it on that. It comes all the way to the front of the house. I would suggest, in terms of historic preservation and what we look at, that you stop the fence at the one-story addition, so that one-story addition really reads and turns the corner. I know it makes the space that you're incorporating there a lot smaller.
Yes.
This is the one story, and it's a special sort of feature here. And I was just suggesting you could stop here. So that's my suggestion. In terms of the fence being wood, I think probably wood is right, although I have to say, the way this is drawn, the wood goes and sits right on the ground, which is not a particularly good detail. It's just going to rot and so on. I tend to agree with Jerry that, and more so if it was pushed back, that a vinyl fence would be okay.
I tend to agree with Mr. Rooney on this, and I would recommend the wood cedar fence painted. But I think Mr. Reimnitz makes a great point. That might require a bit of a change in design.
Yeah, it may be if we vote for, I don't know, does this become a vote? of
A
some sort?
recommendation.
A recommendation.
It's
We
a
have to agree on a
recommendation.
recommendation somehow, right? If it's wood, then I would say the bottom rail as drawn should be a composite material, and then wood above that point, just so that you don't get rot at the bottom where it sits in the dirt.
And you bring up a good point. Is this, the way it's drawn, does it have to sit on the ground? The fence?
Well, it's, again, I don't know the way they do it, but I guess, again, there should not be any gaps between the
I have little kids
The kids.
I mean-
Well, no, there
Taken
could be
out?
they set it a little bit above the dirt. I mean,
They can.
yeah, I mean, that's,
Would the composite material that be an acceptable alternative if
Yes.
on the ground? You
Right.
could do-
If it's
do that.
painted with the rest, I think so.
well, I agree with John's statement about having the composite material. You can do that with the fence, when you contact the fence company.
Okay,
But I feel strongly, I really feel strongly it should be wood, painted wood. So, because I think what you're going to do is down the line, somebody said that vinyl fences look good for the first 2 years, and then after they really, they do not age well
okay.
at all. I mean, at least with the wood fence, you can tell that, it's a wood fence. And the fact that it should be set back, which you would lose, according to your plans here, 2 sections of 8 feet. So this is a daycare center?
It's an enrichment program, it's a learning program, it's a school readiness.
So
Yes.
how many?
Are you
chil-
licensed as a childcare center?
I would recommend.
We put, yes, I mean,
So it's, I
yes.
think it's going to be, have a license as a childcare center.
Yes, it's a learning, early Head Start, yes.
So perhaps it would be too much to lose, maybe set it back 8 feet.
How about a is the issue that it's a solid fence? What if the front was a picket fence? It wouldn't be so imposing.
I think it should set
Okay.
back. So there's 2 sets of windows, twinned windows here. Maybe the fence should be set back in between the twinned windows.
Yeah, I would line it up with the section of the house.
Yeah.
It would allow the landscape at least to turn the
See,
stay.
it would
Okay,
allow
I see.
the landscape to turn the corner,
I know what you mean.
and you
now.
wouldn't have to rip all the landscaping out.
Well, the side, the,
I'll show you.
yeah, I mean, remember that, kids needs air, and we need,
Oh,
I
yeah, we're
I
not saying they
can-
don't need air.
Should do a picket fence there.
Yeah.
Get some more ventilation in there.
Start between those 2 windows. So that's the fence, rather than.
Stand at the picket
Right.
fence
You're just
like
moving
this.
it behind the door. That's what they're recommending.
I mean,
It's the development review committee, this will be their
Right.
recommendation to the
Okay.
committee.
okay, I mean, just for you, it might not be, it might be like not as much, but for me, it's, it's really the more space that I have for those children to be outdoors. I mean, it's, it might be something minimal for you guys to make the adjustment, but for me, it's a big deal. Every inch counts when they're outside. So I'm trying to make the best out of it. So if you can just consider that as well.
Well, just push it back a bit, that's what we're saying.
It shouldn't line up with the front.
It should line up with the front of the house. So, what do we have, Janice? Our recommendations are,
Well, it's kind of all over the place. But I think that what I would say is there was disagreement as to whether or not a vinyl fence versus a wooden fence was appropriate. But the suggestion is, at a minimum, if a wood fence is put in, the bottom of the wood fence should be comprised of composite material.
well, it could be, doesn't
Could
have to
be,
be, it
yeah.
could be.
It should, wooden fence should not be in contact with the ground.
Okay. Okay.
That all
And-
gets the durability, so that it
Right.
exists for at least the 10 years you're gonna be there, so.
Right.
And whatever you use, Mr. Rooney's saying if you use vinyl, it may not last 10 years, or there may be a lot more maintenance costs than
Yeah.
you're doing. So you gotta look at long-term costs.
No, I understand. I mean, I'm okay with, materials, I'm fine with it.
Right.
But I don't mind in terms of material, making that suggestion. What's
then-
important for me is, trying to keep as much as playground as possible.
Right.
And then the suggestion is to
Privacy.
push it back so that it does not line up with the front of the addition. And the desire is to push it back so it's between the 2 windows.
Which
I have-
looks on your plan about 8 feet.
Right, that's what I thought.
No, that looks like it.
So
I think
my-
it's probably worth noting the majority was in favor of wood,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Right, majority was in favor
Majority, even
of-
though it was split, but yeah.
My other comment is whether it's wood or vinyl, you would have to commit to maintain it so that it has both the integrity and the appearance,
Of course.
decent appearance
Of
during the
course.
10-year period.
Of course,
Okay.
Okay,
of course.
all right, thank you.
Okay,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to send this back to Janine.
What is that? Is that a robot or what? I don't know what that is.
That's a very funny shaped person, yes.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah.
Looks
Oh,
like a robot military.
Next up is
Scale. It's
also,
scale.
also in front of the development recommendations for the Development Review Committee is application 2864, 581 Valley Road, the Episcopal Church of St. James. And this is a minor site plan for a new ramp. So please come up. Good evening.
Good evening.
And just introduce yourself,
Sure.
and Ms. Bauer,
Sure. Hi, how are you? Thank you for getting rid of the tires today, by
Yeah.
the way. I'm the Reverend Melissa Hall. I'm the rector of St. James Episcopal Church on the corner of Valley and Bellevue in Upper Montclair. And we are also the owners of the St. James Preschool, which is applying tonight to you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And
Reverend, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
So help me God, I will.
So I'm just going to introduce the application. The subject property is located in the Upper Montclair Historic District. It is listed on the New Jersey and National Registers of the Historic Places. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful site,
Absolutely.
and you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
The project description is the applicant proposes the selective demolition of the existing concrete ramp and walkway at the southeast corner of the south leg of the building for the construction of a new ADA masonry ramp with concrete footings, raised walkway, and painted steel railings. Railing. The ramp is to begin about 3.5 feet east of the southeast corner of the building and extend across most of the south elevation. The new ramp and raised walkway will provide access to existing toddler classrooms near the east end of the building, and new toddler classrooms to be renovated at the west end. And Janet, there's no, are there any variances associated with this?
There's no variances.
Okay, so these are recommendations.
Just a little background as to why we're doing this. St. James Preschool has been in existence for 40 years. We've taken care of thousands of children and families. We're currently licensed for 113 children. We have 9 classrooms. There's been a change in Montclair, which is quite wonderful from my standpoint, is that now Montclair is providing free preschool, which is a wonderful program, but it's had its impact on our program. What we're learning as we move forward with this, that the public free program will not provide classrooms for toddlers. And we are currently licensed in 3 rooms for toddlers ages 18 months to 3 years. And that's a critical community for us, and we have a waiting list with parents who have to work, who need a place for their children. So with the change in the public free program, we will lose some older children, but we'd like to compensate with that by creating a place for toddlers and up to 3 years old. The 2 classrooms are currently licensed for up to 6 years old, 3 to 6. This will allow us to take in children 18 months to 3 years old, which we already have 3 classrooms accommodating that population, and there's a great demand for it. And that's why we're here to do this. We are in full support of free preschool. We think it's a great idea. We ourselves provide scholarships for families. Currently, we have 6 families in total scholarship in our program. And we know that this has to happen, but we're trying to keep St. James Preschool stable, and we're also trying to meet the need of our community, which has children who are toddlers who need to be taken care of while mom and dad work, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or whatever the configuration. So thank you for your consideration. And Mr. Klein is here, the architect and his associate, and he can answer the cement questions, because that's not about Wick.
Okay, great. Do we have,
Any questions for me about why we're doing this?
I'm just curious, you're adding more toddler classrooms.
Right.
And are you going to increase your the population of the school? 'Cause
No,
you said-
what it is currently there are 2 classrooms that are licensed for children 3 to age 6.
Right.
And those classes, we are applying for a license to the state to allow us to house, for lack of a better word, children who are 18 months to 3 years old. So now we've expanded the footprint in the same classroom. No more new classrooms, same classrooms, but a capacity to take in children who are younger, if need be, if we can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank
It's
you.
It's an idea.
Mr. Klein, would you come forward, or, and,
And this is Giselle Bazzelli, my esteemed architectural.
so just identify yourself for the record, please, and Ms. Bauer will swear you in.
Francis Klein, architect, 38 Park Street in Montclair.
Thank you.
Giselle Bizelli, architectural designer.
Oh, could you say into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Giselle Bizelli, architectural designer.
And
If you'll
Ju-
both
just-
raise your right hand, or are you going to give the only testimony, or, okay.
Well, we'll both be sworn.
Okay, you both will. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide on this application tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Does everybody have?
yes, this is what was in our packet, thank you.
I think the best way to look at it is A2 and A2 and A3. Following up what Reverend Melissa said, we want toddlers in the rooms that are now for older 5 to 6-year-olds. And as we make the change, we want to extend the ramp for safety. In case there's a fire, the children should get out right away to the outside. Right now, the ramp only goes for 2 of the classrooms to the east. We want to extend it so it handles all 4 of the classrooms that'll all be toddlers. So it's going to get longer. It's actually technically a walkway and then a ramp, because the first part of it on the west side is a walkway because it's flat, and then it goes down to the east. The ramp that's there now would no longer make modern current disability requirements. There's a step at the door to get out of a couple of inches, which was okay in 1990, 91, but it's not okay now for the wheelchair can't go down a bump like that. So that has to come out and raised up those inches and then go down. So that's why we have to remove what's there and rebuild it to current disability standards.
And is there only one door that needs to be?
There are 2 pairs of doors. There's an existing door. The 2 that exist have a vestibule, and there's a door out. And that's on the right-hand side, top right on A2. That's the door from 35 years ago. That's not changing. But the new toddler classrooms on the west side, that's 2 doors, 1 from each, because the dimensions for the exit doors have changed a little bit also. So it's a question of inches, but we need 1 door from each classroom and doesn't need a vestibule. So it's a little bit different because the codes have changed. But it's the same idea. Get the children out, if the fire alarm goes off, get them outside and get them out so they can be safe.
Are you proposing to change the doors or keep the doors?
Those 2 doors are new. The 2 doors on
Up here?
the 2 doors on the west side on the Valley Road, towards Valley Road, those are new doors.
Okay,
Right now, those are just windows. And there's no walkway, no ramp outside.
oh,
The 2 on
I see.
the
Okay.
middle, I guess it's top middle,
right.
those are 2 new doors. The other one is okay, the one that's from 91.
Thank you.
In terms of materials, this part of the church, yes, thank you, Giselle.
There, just keep it, okay.
Yeah, A3 is even better to look at. Those are the doors, right? There's the one, you can point to it. There's the old one there with the vestibule in the center of the page, and the two new ones on the left, center left, on the, of the plan. That's an enlargement. Those are the two doors. Yeah, you can go to A3, which Giselle has. I'm referring to A2. This part of the church building was built in 1965, so it's masonry structure. You don't see the joints in the masonry. It's parged, stucco parged, and yeah, that's a good. The top left is a good photo of what's there. That's the old ramp that we have to take out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to A3, that's got the, oops. A3 has the details. The brick we're proposing underneath the ramp, there it is, there. It's called Dutch gray. It's a warm gray. It's kind of a tanny kind of gray. We think it goes well with the stucco on block of the wall behind it. And the fact that it's brick, why? Well, because the back of St. James Church is brick and Talbot's is brick, although it's painted white, and the fire station is brick across the street, so brick seemed reasonable. It's got a precast cap, and the railing is from Julius Bloom. It's a high-quality railing manufacturer. I think they're in Carlstadt, and it's black painted steel. And then there's a handrail each side if you're going down the ramp. It's also black painted. Light fixtures for lighting, we have bottom left. That's an exterior light suitable for a wet location. And those are by the doors, and then there's floodlights from Rob Electric. The brick is from Belden, which is a been around a long time. I think they're in Pennsylvania, Belden brick. Mm-hmm. And there's a model number for the type of brick that it is at the bottom center of the page.
Okay.
Any questions? I'm happy to
Thank
answer.
you. Now we're
Mr.
just going to
Sala?
open it up for questions if that concludes your testimony.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
You said it's currently not ADA compliant, right? And this enhances safety and accessibility. It really is, the only part that's really visible is that through that portion of valley, that very narrow area. The
Next to
garage is there?
Yeah, Kirkaby's garage.
That's right.
With a lot
Okay.
of tires.
Okay. No, I don't think I really have any other questions. Thank you.
Just a question. Are you showing that there's a rail against the building as well along the
Yeah.
pathway?
Each side.
Only up to the vestibule doors?
Yeah, because that's the ramp part.
Okay, just
So
where
the
there's a
walk-
ramp, you need it on both
Yeah, right, because
sides.
you're going down. The
Okay.
walkway, you don't need it.
Got it. No other questions?
The part that will, I mean, you'll see the side from that tire place, but the front, this brick will wrap around, correct?
Yeah, we'll wrap around the facade that faces the garage.
Yes.
The parking lot, and it'll come around into the building.
Yes.
And also the little portion that sticks out from the building, the rear wall, that would also be brick.
Okay. Okay, that's my
That's
question.
A2, bottom right.
So like when you go to A3, so all of this outside, as it turns, it's all the brick, and then the brick returns into the building. That's the wall of brick coming in all around on the outside. And then when it goes over the rear, that's also brick right here.
Sorry.
And where are the condensers being relocated from?
Okay, so,
Speak
That's
into the
fine.
microphone.
let me,
That's the plan.
one sec, right here. So, the two of them would be right in this corner right here, by Valley Road, behind the shrubbery. One of them currently is behind the shrubbery, as is.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to salvage some of the shrubbery if it takes the impact of the relocation, otherwise it'll match whatever's existing. And everything will be resided around the ramp, it will look much nicer.
I believe the shrubbery is forsythia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hardy. But it's not a visual screen, because it loses all its leaves. So,
Would you be willing to add a screen?
I don't know that we could, because it'll be in contrast with the facade of the historical building.
no, I think a vegetated screen, a landscape screen.
Plant
Well, what
screen.
we could do is pick a shrubbery that won't shed their
Right.
leaves, and like an evergreen,
Right.
Yeah,
I
I think that would be better. I know this is not an HPC issue, but one of my comments is that I think you might preserve, I'd recommend something other than forsythia to hide that equipment.
It looks nice when it's yellow, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we could definitely talk to the landscape person and then figure out what would last the longest,
Great.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have any other, do you,
I have no questions.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, just for the record, is the new ramp required for you to have the toddler program?
Yes,
Okay, it's a mandatory requirement.
you've got to get out.
Okay,
Yeah, the code says that if you have a toddler, they have to have one exit that goes directly to the street.
okay.
So that's the only way we can make it compliance.
Second, the masonry of the ramp,
Mhm.
did you say that is the same appearance as the building itself?
So what we were trying to do, so the stone has like different pigmentations on it, that is very similar to the big wall that is on Valley Road.
Right.
And it has the stucco on it. So we didn't want to mimic it 100% because then it takes a special quality of the front. So it's in the same tones, and we wanted something that was masonry because it would be very durable, and they're going to be using it for a long time, hopefully. And we felt that that was sort of complementary to the style of the back end of the building, which is not necessarily as beautiful as the rest of the facility.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other questions, or I'll read Tom's comments. So, Tom Conley, our HPC consultant, has written that modification to historic properties to increase accessibility are consistent with accepted historic preservation standards. The proposed ramp is carefully designed and appropriately located to preserve the building's historic character. So we'll open up for discussion then.
I'm supportive of the application. I think it was thoughtfully done, and I think it'll be, the safety is important for the kids, the accessibility is important for, ADA reasons, and I support the application.
I support it as well, and every time you present something here, Francis, it's always well-detailed, and if everyone would come to us and present in the same way, we could really see what was going on, so
Yeah.
very much appreciate that.
Thank you, John,
You do,
and
you do,
Gisella deserves
you,
the lion's share of
both,
the credit.
you did, good work. Thanks.
I appreciate it.
And I echo that sentiment as well. Thank you. I'm very glad to see your railing, that it's steel. I guess that'll be a baked-on steel coating?
Julius Bloom is.
It's Julius Bloom, so it's wrought iron painted, and it has like a little curl on it to be like a little historical, like the rest
Oh,
of the ones.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think if we just, as Ms. Tully's already indicated, that she spoke to about the type of screening,
shrubbery.
plant screening, I think it's a total win-win all around.
Good.
And a
No
real
forsythia.
asset to Upper Montclair.
No forsythia.
Plant it
Maybe a
somewhere
little,
else.
yeah.
I'm just curious, listening to how your playground how big is your playground on the side of the church, the north side?
We just did the fence. Francis, do you remember?
it runs runs 3/4 of the length of the sanctuary. I don't know if that.
Oh, we have a site plan.
We have a site plan, we can look at it there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they currently have a fence that goes from here, kind of like all the way around to there, like that. And theirs is wood.
And there's a wood.
Yes.
It's not dimensioned,
No, it's
so.
actually chain link.
Well, the little bit that you have.
No, it's
side
wood.
is
Oh, definitely wood, yes.
See, the problem with the other one is that they had it close to the ground, and even if it was wood or fiberglass, you still need to pull it up about 4 to 5 inches from the ground, or put a concrete curb. That's how you resolve that problem.
I was just wondering how long your playground is on the site. Is there footage that, no?
The scale, site plan, 16, no?
Well, it's about the same length, maybe 1.5 of the length of the ramp.
Okay. Oh, that's all right. I just wanted approximate, that's all.
Yeah,
Don't
no.
worry about it.
Hold
30
on.
seconds, 30 seconds.
So,
I think it's bigger than the proposed
Yeah, so
playground
this is
for
about-
Yeah. Okay.
Leap-e-i.
I was just trying to visualize it.
Yeah.
about 150. This
About,
length,
about,
150 feet long?
this length.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's a pretty big playground.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Rooney?
I have no further comments. I agree with everybody else.
And Mr. Sweeney?
I strongly support it. The program and purpose to allow a preschool and toddlers program is absolutely essential. And it's the design you have is consistent with the historic character. And there's no objections. So I strongly support it.
Thank you.
When do you think you're going to start embark on this? Is it going to be before the
Well,
winter?
we're bidding it, Gisela, you were bidding to six contractors, I think?
Yes, going out to 6 contractors. We have the public hearing on November 2nd.
Oh,
So if everything goes well there, then a month later, we can submit to the Department of Building. And the month after that, we'll have permits.
okay.
Planning board, Janice, or zoning?
The Development Review Committee.
Oh, development review committee.
There's no
Okay.
variances.
Ah, got it.
Okay.
Great.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We really appreciate it. We support the commission and everything that you do.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Thank
Take
you.
care.
This is wonderful.
Okay, then. Next up is the proposed amendment to total demolition permit ordinance. Now, I wanted to have a preliminary discussion, I guess is the word, is the correct term, because of what has gone on, and I think I've sent this to everybody, at 105 Upper Mountain Avenue. And Janice and I, we had a conversation. Janice and I have spoken about this, or I've been in the office wondering what happened. But the pictures from 2020, which are the first page, is when it was put on the market. And then this is what it looks like now, 2023. So the detail, the characteristic detail has been stripped, which includes the moldings, the door frames, the balconies, the railings, the page, I haven't numbered this, but on page 4, even the concrete slab that is the entryway there has been removed. And if you contrast it with the vintage photo to the right, you can see, even though it is sepia toned, you could still see the detail, and you can still tell that it would, that it's Italianate villa style. So because of this, and knowing that the demolition ordinance was just approved or voted in by the council on, I don't know, last week? It was passed September 26th. And this is something that's been worked on for months. And Jason Heineman, who's who's actually the vice chair, worked on it a lot. So I give him kudos for spending all that time. But anyway, it was passed on September 26th, and realizing the problem with the facade and demolition of the facade, and speaking to Janice in the building department, I thought this was planning department. I realized that this would be a good opportunity to put additional language into the demolition ordinance. So Mike and I met with Janice on Friday, September 22nd, with Ms. Talley and the township attorney, Paul Burr. And from that meeting, Janice has written a memo, and everybody got that. You sent this to everybody, I think. Everybody's gotten this. So, so thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for the research. I was wondering about when you brought up Neptune Township. I thought, well, how does that? Because the ordinance is well, not complementary, but similar ordinances to what I thought was our town would have been with Hoboken and Jersey City. But Neptune Township actually incorporates Ocean Grove, which is, many, even though the population of Neptune Township is only $27,000 and 27,000 people, and ours, our population's growing.
We're
Seems
40.
like by
We're
leaps
40,000.
and leaps
But
and
we're
bounds.
nowhere near Hoboken or Jersey City.
Leaps and bounds. Yeah, we're nowhere near, but I think
Well,
it's
we're
a more.
not that far off. Hoboken's only 50-something, right?
Yeah,
So
I
it's-
think.
We're not that far off.
We're not that far off, and with all the development, we'll be there pretty soon, I think. But thank you, Janice, for doing this. And I think that if anyone would like to make a observation, I would like to have create a committee, a subcommittee to look at this.
Well, I'd like to be part of it, Chair, and I agree with everything you said about protecting the facade here. This home in particular is in the Montclair Design Guidebook as the example of the Italianate style, and all of that detail has been stripped away, and it's unclear that it can even be replaced. I think language should be added to protect against that type of yeah, it is demolition, yeah.
Why wasn't that subject to HPC review before?
Because they weren't, my understanding, Janice, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not, they didn't demo the place, and that facade is not necessarily subject to review? Is that the reason?
So what triggers HPC review?
Oh, that also, that's right.
Okay, number one, a development application to a land use board, the Board of Adjustment or the Planning Board, that's in a designated historic district or a potential historic district that's identified in your master plan. So this was none of those. There was no development application. The second trigger is your total demolition ordinance. And this does fall under your total demolition ordinance because it was part of the historic, or it's probably on the state historic register.
It's part of the Mountain Historic District.
Well, no, it has to be surveyed. That's not a surveyed district.
But, okay.
But so for total demolition, I think it's on the state or national, whatever. It
Right.
falls under the requirements for total demolition, but that is defined as removing 50% or more of the exterior walls.
Right.
They didn't remove the walls. They removed the materials on the walls and the porch, but that didn't trigger 50% of the walls. So
Which
that's
is why we want to add facade to language to protect against that happening
Okay,
again.
so it missed it because the definition covered the walls and not the
Well,
architectural features of
Well,
the exterior.
so I guess, and what I was trying to emphasize is your demolition ordinance affects over 3,114 properties in Montclair. So it's a little difficult to administer and manage these partial demolition ordinances. That's why I reached out and spoke to Jersey City and Hoboken. And their triggers are when applicants come in for a demolition permit, and the demolition permit includes removal of the facade. And then frankly, they said, this is what Jersey City said. They said, well, usually those partial demolition permits come before us because they've been denied on a total demolition permit. And they do an administrative review. It never goes to the Historic Preservation Commission. So I'm just a little concerned that it affects so many properties. And what is the trigger? We need to define what's the trigger, exactly what changes on that facade will trigger that review, and who reviews it. Otherwise, we might be overwhelmed. And they all have to be noticed.
I don't think we would have had a problem if they had just redone the siding, but it was taking out all the detailing. That if there's a way to define that, I think that would be the most important aspect of preservation. And if they had just redone the...
I think, this is extreme.
Yeah.
This is, they've
Exactly.
removed everything.
Right.
So there's got to be a way to define a percentage of the facade removed. I realize partial facade could be anything. It could be 2 square feet.
That's why
And that's a problem, I get that.
if we can
But-
brainstorm and come up with a good definition, I think that would make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that'll help you guys out.
Janice, do we have, it's not off the record run live, but is there any indication they're putting this stuff back? Or, are we just completely out of luck on this one?
At this point, I haven't been dealing with the property owner, the zoning officer has. I don't know, he doesn't really know exactly what he's doing. My understanding is he removed that material because he was evaluating the structural soundness of the walls underneath it. He bought it was a vacant structure. This property was on our vacant properties list.
Oh.
And it was purchased from the vacant properties list. So it stood vacant for quite a few years. And my understanding is that he bought it, he's got a lot of money, he's trying to figure out exactly how it can be repaired, which is why that material was removed. But we don't have a lot of answers, in terms of what direction they're going in.
But can anything be done from the Preservation Commission to reach out to the owner to inquire or
You want to invite him to come to meet with you to talk about his plans?
Well, I guess, there must be filed plans with the building department, right? So the question is, we should at least look and see what
Right.
he's proposing.
I don't think he has that information yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't got that far, but he'll have to do it.
Honestly-
My suggestion would be to invite him to come and talk to either a committee or
Oh.
to the full commission.
That'd be great.
I get a little nervous when we talk about a specific property owner that doesn't know that we're talking about the property and the property owner.
Sure.
So I don't,
And would that be in a subcommittee?
however you want. I mean,
Yeah.
you're welcome to
Just
invite somebody to talk to you
Just to inform the
about.
person that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
what
Right.
happened,
Yeah,
and
got it.
he can decline, he can attend, he can tell you to jump in a lake, he can tell you anything, but,
Okay.
I just think it would be appropriate to do things that way.
All right.
Okay, no, I understand. So
Yeah. But
that
if we're
would,
going to talk about the ordinance, we can talk about the ordinance. And I
Right.
realize that this was a trigger for
Right.
it, but I don't want to go further into.
okay, so.
Even if we change the ordinance, there's nothing we could do to affect that building with respect to the ordinance.
Right.
We should invite him or the owners to come before us so we can just express our concern, our desire, and the purpose of historic preservation, generally, not just for the commission, and why we think it's important. That would be the first thing. The second thing is we should add some definition that includes either It does, I don't see that it has to be 50%. It could be a smaller percentage of the removal of the architectural features or some other definition of the facade.
Agreed, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be that.
So what I would, as we moved, and I think we should move ahead with trying to, what do we mean by the architectural features? The cornice,
Yeah,
the door trim,
Yep.
the door itself.
We could
Now, you don't
define
want to
that.
include the windows, because people replace their windows all over.
not the windows, but the
that's-
trim around
yeah,
it. Yeah,
It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I
trim
don't
around
mean,
it.
like,
But that's
a
where-
replacement in kind.
We need to, when we talk about this, we need to understand exactly what you're trying to preserve.
Yeah,
Right.
Because
that's a tough
we don't
one.
want to have, a review of, because these are not historic properties. These are, remember, potentially historic properties.
Mm.
And what are we trying to
Technically, right,
achieve?
yeah.
The key, what are the, usually,
makes it
it's the
historic?
cornice, right? The trim below
Uh-huh.
the roof, right? The trim around the windows and the trim around the doors.
Well, balconies, railings,
Right.
string courses.
Where's the
And in this
historic
case-
survey?
Yeah,
What's a
here's the
Well, there are
survey.
features external to
I don't
the
know.
walls, actually.
What's a string course? I'm not,
That's the horizontal band, that's,
It's in the middle of that
it's
first
in the middle,
floor.
it's the first floor.
This would be good. Anything that's listed on the historic survey that, it's right here. So you could
Okay.
look at each one. Oh, did they remove all that stuff?
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would be the historic features as listed in the
And-
specific
yeah.
historic survey for
And
that
then there would
building.
be some basis
That-
for.
So if you have a
for
building that
going
has
there.
very little, because some of these surveyed properties have very minimal
Right.
features. And if
yeah.
something's removed, then that would not trigger.
well, then we should add a minimum, say, we should include that, anything listed in that survey, and in addition, and then we can come up with some terms.
So I think it's a good idea to send this to the subcommittee to.
Yes.
Right.
So before
Okay.
we do that, though, do we want to invite the owner of
Yes.
this property? And do we do that in subcommittee or to a meeting?
He'd probably be more inclined to go to subcommittee.
Yes.
I agree.
Sorry, Jerry, what's that? You think the whole commission? Do you think he'd be more inclined to come to a subcommittee versus it can be intimidating to come before the whole.
I don't think we have to grill him. I think.
Yeah, it's just
we
a
can-
conversation.
You can do it for 3, I guess.
You think, if you think it makes more sense, I just think that somebody might be intimidated to come in
Right.
before the whole
Michael, I
board.
think you're right.
Right.
I think,
Right.
and they're,
Yeah.
and they're on TV?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think a
And they're on TV.
subcommittee is
I-
much.
I
think
we
we'd do it
watching.
a subcommittee, but we could also invite them after that to come before the entire.
that's fair.
Right.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
So which subcommittee would it be?
That's my next question. Well, it wouldn't be
Design review?
I think design review.
design review. Yeah, I think design review. Who's on that, Janice?
Who's on that?
Steve, John, and Mike.
Really?
I think, Chair, I think you should be on that as well. I think one of us, I'm happy
Yeah,
to,
since you're right.
I'm happy to give that to you, or John, if, I don't know.
And remember, Nicholas isn't on any committees.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give him a break for the
Yeah.
next 2 months.
He might be a little
He's
busy.
he's not gonna be sleeping much.
Yeah,
Janice.
I
We're gonna give him
All right, so for this one, may I take your place, Steve?
Yes.
All right, so it'll be John, myself, and Mike.
So Kathleen, you want me to permanently put you on the design review committee? Or just?
No, just
ad
this.
hoc for this one,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay. Kathleen, John, and Mike.
Yes, and then I think another subcommittee should be formed to look at these issues, overriding issues with demolition, partial demolition, and that we created a special committee, subcommittee, which Jason was involved in. But I've spoken to him, and he doesn't want to be involved in this one now. So who feels that they would like to tackle this?
Yeah, I think I can get on it because I did a lot of work on that demolition ordinance.
Great.
I spent substantial time on it, so.
Right, okay, good.
I think we should call it the zoning subcommittee, because it has to do with zoning changes,
Okay,
which you seem, there's a lot of.
right, okay, zoning
So
subcommittee.
Gerald, you, Jerry, and who else?
I can join, yeah.
Right.
Full commission.
Yeah.
the attorneys on the zoning subcommittee.
Right. And I think when we do that, we should also look at the demolition application. I know the last time that was amended was probably 6 years ago. Jenny Gillette, remember that? Jenny Gillette and Caroline changed that. So I think we should look at that in conjunction with what goes on with this, to make sure it all syncs up.
But remember, the demolition application cannot exceed the requirements in the ordinance.
Right, so it should
Yeah.
sync up.
Should parallel.
Right. Okay, great. Uh-huh.
Okay?
Thank you. And the next order of business, which was our last order of business, is the newly published preservation briefs from the National Park Service, U.S. Department of Interior. And this is brief number 16. Its use of substitute materials on historic building exteriors. And it's very interesting. It says features of historic properties can be repaired rather than replaced, and using substitute materials that closely match the visual and physical properties of historic materials can be successfully used on many rehabilitation projects in ways that are consistent with the standards. And I know we've run into issues here with people, applicants wanting to use different substitute materials. But the three criteria that the Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Standards cites, they must be compatible with the historic materials and appearance. Their physical properties must be similar to those of the historic materials, or the materials must be installed in a manner that tolerates differences, and they must meet certain basic performance expectations over an extended period of time. And then at the end, there's a few pages on appropriate replacement materials. So they give recommendations for masonry, architectural metals, concrete, aluminum, fiber cement, glass fiber reinforced concretes and polymers, and non-composite polymers and cellulose fiber. So I think this is a very comprehensive, and in the beginning, it also gives a history of use of substitute materials, which have been around for longer than I've been around, which seems like forever. But I asked Janice if she would put this on our website. And then Janice, you had a few suggestions how to make this more accessible for people to actually use.
Right, I mean, I can clearly put it on the website, but my recommendation would be, I know you want to work on updating your design guidelines. And incorporating this into updated design guidelines that are adopted by the commission, I think would be the best plan in the long run, so that it's documented that this is what your recommendation is.
So we just did our design guidelines for the residential, we added to, we amended it. Something like this, are you suggesting putting this as a reference? Or
I think, well, I mean, we can do it as a reference, but I think if you take action and adopt it, maybe even, can you amend your design guidelines to reference this for both commercial and residential? That way,
right, that's what
it should be easy to do that.
I think, Ms. Attorney?
We can definitely do that, and if you adopt it, and actually, I don't know what the ordinance says, but you can incorporate it by reference into the ordinance, and then it's law.
Right.
I mean, design guidelines, a lot of people think are guidelines because of that word guidelines. So if you incorporate it by reference, then it's the same, has the same effect as a municipal ordinance. I read the whole thing a couple days ago because I was actually on my way to an historic preservation conference in Washington, and the thing that I was most impressed by, aside from the whole thing, is, and how easy it is to read and how well it's written, but the photographs are really great quality. And so what I was wondering, I actually forgot we were going to be talking about this, but I was wondering if we can talk to the people at the secretary or the trust or whoever commissioned this to borrow it all, with, appropriate, attribution. But these photographs are worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Was that something that you circulated to us? 'Cause I don't recall.
Yes.
I sent it by email.
What?
I sent it by email. I didn't give you a hard copy.
Right.
Oh,
But you can-
okay.
do you-
Oh,
It's a
okay,
link.
so
That's why.
I didn't
It's really
compare
great.
the two.
Here,
Okay.
you can, this has my markup on it.
Well, that's okay.
You
She
can-
said it
you
was
can-
on the email, but
Right.
not in the packet, so I
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
notice
Right.
it. so.
So I would make use of it however you want, but, some of it you might have to ask for permission depending on how you want to.
Right.
But, so, to get this to the public quickly, would you be able to write something up that we can then vote on next meeting? To have this as a reference in our design, in order to change the,
Well, you don't have to vote on referencing it in your design guidelines. I mean, you could just do that.
Let me take a look at,
What I meant is have council adopt it as part of the, incorporated by reference into the appropriate part of the HP ordinance.
Would we have to send them a referral?
right.
Would we-
Yeah. Oh,
From you.
okay, so
Yeah.
you mean
That you would write.
reference? Sure, okay. Resolution
Right.
encouraging them to.
Do we vote on that as well? Is that something we should vote on now, or is something we should do
Well,
next meeting?
Jerry hasn't read it. We could
Oh,
have
okay.
probably, but.
I think we
you
should do it the
don't
next
need a lot
meeting.
of formality to.
Next meeting,
To
yeah.
do that, yeah.
All right, let's
Yeah,
do
sure,
it the next meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
That's a couple sentences.
All right, speaking of which, our next meeting, I think that's it on our agenda.
I have a couple things
Yes, please.
I'd just like to bring up. First is the Bellevue Theater. I noticed there's a stop work order now that's been posted on the building, and it just seems to be getting worse there, and as opposed to better. And I was told, I brought this up, 4 months ago, and I was told by some spokesman for the owner that they were getting involved and they were going to work on it, and it was going to turn and now I see a stop work order, which means to me they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. I'm looking at you, Janice. I'm wondering if you have any knowledge of what's going on there.
all I can say is you're right. I don't know the details.
Okay.
I just know that there's an issue. They issued a stop work order. They're trying, I know they're trying to reopen the theater. That's their intent. They also have filed plans with my office to make the changes. They want to put some residential apartments on the second floor and extend the commercial, the storefronts along the driveway on the first. And it's been deemed incomplete because I keep telling them I need more details. So that's been going back and forth for quite a while. But I said, it doesn't stop you from reopening the theater. So I don't know what the issues are with the building department, but that's all I can report.
Here's another situation where the building's just slowly falling
Right.
apart,
Right.
and we're just watching it go.
Watching it go.
And it's going to get to a point where they'll then say, oh, it's not salvageable, and
The issue is they are working on it.
But it's stopped.
They don't have
Everything's
the-
stopped now.
They don't have the permits? Are they getting the proper permits? Is that
can't
moving
answer-
forward?
I don't know what the issue is. Obviously, there's an issue with what work was being done. But I can't say that there's no work being done. They are,
here would be another example, I think, similar to this, where we
Right.
should invite the owner of the building to come here. It's in a historic district. They've let it go. there, from what we can tell, nothing is really happening, and get them here to talk to us.
We met over there at the theater a couple years ago.
We did, yeah.
With the owners.
Yeah. We should probably, should we do another ad hoc committee
Yes.
with the three of us and
Yeah.
revisit that? Okay. I would be all in favor of that.
Okay. So the other item I have, I don't know if anyone watched the Lackawanna Plaza thing the other night. I watched the entire thing, and I just have a little statement I want to make based on what I saw there. I watched the council meeting the other night as the Lackawanna Plaza plan was discussed and listened to many people who turned up to comment. I found it disturbing. Not the fact that the plan passed with the council voting in favor, but the way the council referred to the planning board and to the Historic Preservation Commission. Comments were made to the effect that members on both these commissions were just community members volunteering their time and not to be considered experts. I won't debate the experts' comment, but I'm going to suggest that everyone I know who sits on this commission spends a lot of time, minimally attends historic education seminars, are well-versed in the Montclair historic guidelines, and bring a considerable amount of expertise to the work they do. I am very disturbed. It demeans the work we do and all the effort that we all make. To be clear, I'm not disturbed that the plan passed. Many suggestions that the Historic Preservation Commission made were incorporated into the final result. Even though much of the commentary referred to the developer's plans to a large degree, I think for the most part they were the result of efforts of Ira Smith, who I think did a great job. And a shout out to Janice as well. That's my comment.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
We agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, wow, it's 9:35. Any other issues, or I think we're ready to adjourn? Motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's a great, good to diminish the